The small town of Black Hollow had always had its secrets, but none more terrifying than the rumors surrounding the old Prescott Manor. The dilapidated estate sat on the outskirts of town, its once grand halls now crumbling and overgrown with ivy. The windows, dark and broken, seemed to watch anyone who dared pass by, while the iron gates, twisted with rust, warned strangers to stay away. Yet, year after year, kids from the local high school would dare each other to approach it on Halloween night. Most would run before they even got close to the door, spooked by the stories they had heard. But this year, it was different. Jake and Laura, best friends since childhood, decided to face the legend head-on. Jake, ever the skeptic, didn't believe in ghosts or haunted houses. He dismissed it all as small-town superstition. Urban legends passed down to scare kids. Laura, on the other hand, had a fascination with the supernatural, always eager to uncover the mysteries lurking in the shadows. Despite her quiet demeanor, she had an adventurous streak, and something about the manor called to her, as if it held secrets only she could unlock. It was Halloween night, and the cold autumn air cut through their jackets as they made their way up the winding path toward Prescott Manor. The full moon hung low in the sky, casting an eerie glow on the overgrown grass and twisted branches that lined the path. The silence was unsettling, broken only by the occasional rustle of leaves in the wind. "Do you think we'll actually find anything in there?" Laura asked, her voice barely above a whisper as they neared the towering gates of the manor. Jake shrugged, his breath visible in the frigid air. "Doubt it. It's just an old house. We'll go in, look around, and leave. Nothing to it." But Laura wasn't so sure. The stories she had heard over the years about the manor lingered in her mind, tales of strange sightings, whispers in the dark, and the mysterious disappearance of the Prescott family nearly a century ago. No one knew exactly what had happened, but the townsfolk all agreed that something wasn't right about the place. Laura had always felt drawn to the unknown, but tonight, even she felt a sense of unease as they approached the gates. The heavy iron creaked as Jake pushed the gates open, the sound echoing through the stillness of the night. The path leading to the manor was lined with crumbling statues, their faces worn away by time, giving them an almost grotesque appearance. Jake shined his flashlight on the front door, which hung slightly ajar, swaying in the breeze as if it had been left open for them. "Come on," Jake said, leading the way up the steps. "Let's get this over with." Laura hesitated for a moment, her eyes scanning the dark windows of the house. She couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. Taking a deep breath, she followed Jake inside. The air inside the manor was stale, thick with dust and decay. The faint smell of mildew hung in the air, and the floorboards creaked beneath their feet as they stepped into the grand foyer. The walls were lined with portraits of people long dead, their eyes seemingly following the pair as they moved deeper into the house. "This place is a dump," Jake muttered, kicking aside a pile of debris that had collected at the foot of the grand staircase. "I don't know what all the fuss is about." Laura didn't respond. She was too busy taking in the details of the room, her fingers tracing the peeling wallpaper, her eyes flicking to the darkened hallways that led deeper into the house. Something felt off, like the house itself was alive, watching them, waiting for something. They ventured further into the manor, their footsteps the only sound breaking the silence. Jake's flashlight flickered occasionally, casting long shadows across the walls. Every now and then, Laura thought she heard something, an almost imperceptible whisper, or the faint sound of footsteps that didn't belong to either of them. But when she stopped to listen, the sounds would fade away, leaving only the oppressive quiet of the house. "Maybe we should go upstairs," Laura suggested, her voice low, as if she was afraid of disturbing whatever might be lurking in the dark. Jake shrugged again. "Sure, why not? Let's check it out." They climbed the grand staircase, the wood groaning beneath their weight. As they reached the top, a chill ran down Laura's spine, colder than their outside. She wrapped her arms around herself, trying to shake the growing sense of dread that gnawed at the edges of her mind. The upstairs hallway was long and narrow, lined with more portraits and old, dusty furniture. At the far end was a large, ornate door, slightly ajar, just like the front door had been. It seemed to beckon them forward. Jake walked ahead, his footsteps unnervingly loud in the stillness. Laura followed closely, her eyes darting to every shadow, every dark corner, half expecting something to leap out at them. As they approached the door, Jake pushed it open with a creak. Inside was a large bedroom, untouched by time. A massive four-poster bed sat in the center, the heavy curtains around it moth-eaten and sagging. The room was filled with old, dusty furniture, the kind that had once been luxurious, but now looked sad and forgotten. "I guess this was the master bedroom," Jake said, his voice echoing slightly in the large space. Laura nodded, but her attention was focused on something else. The large wardrobe in the corner of the room. It was a grand piece of furniture, towering and ornate, with intricate carvings along the wood, but something about it felt wrong. She couldn't explain it, but the sight of it filled her with a sudden, inexplicable fear. Jake, she said quietly, her eyes fixed on the wardrobe. Something's not right. Jake turned to her, confused. What do you mean? Before she could respond, the wardrobe doors creaked open slowly, as if being pushed from the inside. Both of them froze, staring in disbelief as the doors swung wide, revealing only darkness beyond. Suddenly, a gust of wind swept through the room, strong and cold, slamming the wardrobe doors shut with a deafening bang. The force knocked Laura back a step, her heart racing in her chest. What the hell was that? Jake shouted, spinning around with his flashlight, but there was nothing, no sign of anyone else in the room. No explanation for the sudden gust of wind. The windows were closed, the air still. Laura backed toward the door, her breathing shallow. Jake, we need to get out of here. Now, Jake, ever the skeptic, hesitated. It's just the wind, Laura, there's nothing here. But Laura wasn't convinced. Something had shifted in the house. She could feel it. The air was thick with tension, and the shadows in the room seemed to move of their own accord, creeping closer. Watching as they turned to leave, the sound of footsteps echoed behind them, heavy, deliberate footsteps. Moving closer, Laura spun around, her eyes wide with terror, but the room was empty. There was no one there. Jake, she whispered, her voice trembling. Did you hear that? Jake nodded slowly, his bravado fading. Yeah, I heard it. They stood frozen for a moment, straining to hear any other sounds. The house had gone silent again, but the feeling of being watched had intensified, as if whatever was in the house had finally taken notice of them. Let's get out of here, Jake said, his voice low and urgent. We've seen enough. They hurried out of the bedroom and back into the hallway. But as they reached the top of the staircase, the front door slammed shut with a force that rattled the walls. Jake's flashlight flickered again, casting eerie, jumping shadows across the walls. What had Jake started? But before he could finish, the sound of footsteps echoed through the house once more, this time louder and faster, as if someone or something was running toward them. Laura's heart pounded in her chest as she grabbed Jake's arm. Run! She screamed, and they both bolted down the stairs, their footsteps pounding on the creaky wood. The air around them seemed to burst with energy, a malevolent presence chasing them through the halls. As they reached the front door, Jake yanked it open, and they stumbled out into the cold night air. The door slammed shut behind them, and they both stood there, gasping for breath, their hearts racing. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. The manor loomed behind them, dark and silent once again, as if nothing had happened. But they both knew better. We're never coming back here, Laura finally said, her voice shaky. Jake nodded in agreement, his face pale. Yeah, never again. But as they turned to leave, Laura glanced back at the manor one last time. In the window of the master bedroom, she saw it, a figure, standing still, watching them with cold, empty eyes. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more thrilling tales. And be sure to turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Happy Halloween, and we'll see you in the next one.